Hey friends, it's Mike. I wanted to discuss a question that folks periodically ask me, and that question is, what if I have to wear a mask? Does that make me weak or submissive? Am I failing as a truth seeker? And the answer is no, and let me explain. There is a difference between voluntary blind compliance, which is 99% of the world's population, and involuntary under duress compliance, where a person is being forced to wear a mask, otherwise they cannot work, enter a doctor's office, a hospital, visit a loved one in hospice, attend a funeral, etc. So it's a situation where you must do something and the option to opt out is either slim or does not exist. In other words, you are being forced to do something against your will. If you are sick and have to see a doctor, and the doctor's office tells you you must wear a mask, you will need to make a decision. You could not make the appointment, but if you are very sick or require immediate medical attention, for example, to set a broken bone or if you need stitches, then you will need to wear a mask so you can be treated. It's completely wrong, but there are moments when we will need to prioritize. If you have a family member in the hospital or hospice, like I did back in April, and you cannot visit them unless you wear a mask, then you have a choice to make. You can stand by your principles, which is noble, or you can momentarily push the pause button so you can be there with your family. Many of us will find ourselves in situations where the current state of insanity interferes with our convictions. In my case, I had a close family member in hospice who had about a week to live. It was more important to me that I was there when they were dying. As much as I despise wearing a mask, I had to make a choice, under duress, and that choice was to be there with my family member in their final days. Another example of limited choice is people needing to work so they can pay their bills and support themselves and their families. It's easy to tell someone you should find a job where you don't need to wear a mask, like working from home. But that's not something that can happen overnight, especially with the economy in the tank because of the PSYOP. There are many people who don't want to be wearing a mask at work, but the situation has them painted into a corner. Many store owners run the risk of having their stores shut down. My perspective is this: if you are fighting the good fight and pushing back whenever and wherever you can, and doing what you know is right, you're good. There might be times where we have no choice because of circumstances we do not control. Manage the moment the best you can and don't beat yourself up. It's a tough situation we're dealing with, and it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. Now let's talk about the other side of the coin: blind, obedient compliance. There are the fools who wear their masks when they walk their dog, drive their car, go for walks in nature, and when they work out. I am convinced many of these people have learned to love their masks. It's a form of Stockholm Syndrome. When I go to the gym and use the treadmill, which is on the second floor, I get a bird's eye view of the people working out down below. Most people are not wearing a mask, thank God. But there is always this handful of fools who are huffing and puffing through their muzzle, which of course helps to further lower their oxygen levels to the point where one day I fully expect the EMS to arrive and take some of these people out on a stretcher. Some of these guys at the gym donning the mask look like Hercules. They have no idea how contradictory the visual is. The dude looks like he could run through a brick wall, but he wears a mask out of fear. It's mind-boggling. I also noticed some of these people wearing designer masks and masks that match their gym attire as they grunt and walk around looking ridiculous. Then it dawned on me. They actually think they look cool, as if they're some kind of superhero. And there was this one guy who was wearing both a hoodie and a mask, sweating profusely. I determined this has to be some kind of Arrested Developed fantasy where they get to dress up like Batman or the Green Hornet. Maybe next, they will show up in boots and a cape to complete the costume. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about the constant barrage of conflicting information regarding the Kung Flu. I'm sure we are all aware of articles or videos where one day masks work and the next day they do not, or one day they're counting the number of deaths and then it's the number of cases, and so on. And it's natural to ask, don't these people know what they're doing? And the answer is yes. They know exactly what they're doing, and they are playing the masses like a fiddle. In hypnosis, there is something called the confusion technique. The confusion technique introduces wording which confounds the conscious mind to the point where it will eventually give up trying to logic through what is presented. When this happens, the subconscious mind takes over and is now in the driver's seat. Once the mind drops into subconscious brainwaves, the person is in a suggestible trance state, and this is exactly where they want us. This enables them, via the television, to bombard your mind with looped imagery, along with introducing trigger words such as alert, crisis, social distancing, lockdown, and quarantine. The talking head on your television is the hypnotist, who is implanting post-hypnotic verbal suggestions and phrases such as the new normal, vaccines are safe, we're in this together, and so on. Here's an example of a simple yet effective confusion technique. It goes like this. I found, and maybe you have also, that sometimes we need to accept things and let them happen. Feel what we feel, like wondering, how did everything begin? Was there something before nothing? Or was it simply nothing and then something? Many people wonder what nothing feels like. I know I do sometimes. In this example, the conscious mind will try to logic through the two opposing scenarios of something and nothing and try to solve the paradox. The mind will wonder, what does something look like? How did something get there? Who created it? How can there be nothing? What is nothing? Something can't come from nothing, or can it? What is presented to the mind is a loop that has conflicts. The conscious mind will attempt to solve what is presented, but will eventually give up trying to figure it out because it is a circular premise and confusing. The technique is designed to get the conscious mind to release its gatekeeping role and to take a back seat. When this happens, the subconscious mind will emerge. And this is important because our subconscious is our suggestible state. Whenever you watch TV, read a book, study, paint, or write, your mind drops into an altered state of consciousness. There are 4 basic trance states. There is beta, which is your waking state, then below that is alpha, then theta, and last is delta, which is sleep. Alpha is where the controllers want the population. Because alpha is a lighter trance state, there is a need to constantly bombard the mind with suggestions. Eventually, this constant hammering takes hold and is the reason why the majority of the population is programmed. This programming is a form of trauma-based mind control. It is fear-based and plays to the mind's fight or flight reflex, along with triggering the survival instincts of the root chakra. Remember, they are telling the masses to be safe. To the mind, the alternative to not being safe is to be unsafe, in danger, or in harm's way. And they know humans instinctually want to be safe and secure. So wear your mask, social distance, and take the vaccine. It's all psychological, my friends. So what the controllers are doing with all their contradictory information is to create a confusion technique, which will eventually result in most people throwing up their hands and becoming obedient and compliant subjects, as they are relentlessly bombarded with a perpetual stream of suggestions to be fearful and to accept the new normal and to choose safety over freedom. And now to shift gears, in my previous video, I discussed how the first debate between Trump and Biden was a 9/11 event. The tip-off being the date of the debate, which was September 29th, which regroups to 9/11. The first 9/11 event of 2020 was CV. The second was the BLM riots. And now the third is the election. We can already see they have started the election fiasco with their news that Trump tested positive. This will undoubtedly become a circus of headlines and debates to drive the public into a frenzy and with many frothing at the mouth. I suspect this will result in Trump wearing a mask whenever there's a photo op and an opportunity to push the vax agenda. And perhaps Donald will even volunteer to get jabbed. Who knows? Anything is possible in a reality TV show. Seriously, folks, you cannot make this stuff up. It's going to be a crazy and wild ride, my friends. The more we understand their signs and symbols, the better equipped we will be to try and avoid as many of the traps as we possibly can. Keep the faith and remember, you are a soul having a physical experience.